Hey everybody, this is Paul doing a dividend video. The date is, let's see, 15th, 2:07. It's a Saturday. Market is obviously closed right now. Um, so, I guess let's kind of go over what's going on in the market, that kind of stuff. Last video, I think it was, I called this the swingers market, and well, I'll tell you, you've gotten a good example of that. Because at the beginning of the month, everybody was talking about re-accelerating economy. Everything's going great. They might have to hike rates again. We made it to the middle of the month, and now all of a sudden everybody's talking about, oh, maybe we're going into a recession. Maybe this is happening. Maybe that's happening. So I guess let's kind of go over what's going on here. If I can get this to load. So we got the CPI report. Like I said, I post every once in a while on Twitter about some economic stuff, and basically I tell you what reports to look out for. The only reports that matter right now are monthly job reports because that shows wages, that shows jobs, that kind of stuff. And the only thing that matters is CPI. That's it. That's all that matters. None of this other crap, none of this other stuff matters. None of it. Like at the beginning of the month, we got a labor report that showed a lot of jobs were created. Household and the household and the establishment survey are pretty much going in two different directions. Um, like nobody can figure out what's going on with those two. Even the Federal Reserve has no idea. Eventually, they meet back up somewhere in the middle. One meets up with the other one. So either we're creating a massive amount of jobs and everybody's fully employed and everybody's great, or we're losing massive amounts of jobs. So, you know, make your Federal Reserve policy based on that. Um, the market tanked obviously because they're like, oh no, hot economy, oh everything's hot. Um, and then you got the PPI, the CPI, and all these different numbers that came in. Weekly unemployment claims came in higher than expected. CPI did this right here, and everybody's just kind of looking at it. And it was like auto insurance went down, and it dragged down the report, and everybody's talking about a recession again. I mean, I've gone over it multiple times on this channel. I don't need to beat the dead horse. You're gonna keep seeing graphs like this. You measure real-time inflation or real-time shelter prices. We're way, we're at our goal. We've been at our goal for a while. And we're in dangerous territory right now with the economy, I think, to be honest with you. Um, because if you can look, this is a little graph that I just saw today, and I just think it just kind of illustrates the points. Like the Fed hit their target. We're at target. They can't use real time. I wish they could. They have to rely on OER. So it's gonna, by the time they cut, waiting on OER to catch up with reality, it's gonna take. Even Powell said he's like, if we do a 25% or 25 basis point cut, it's not really doing anything. So basically, the Federal Reserve is pretty much the only bank right now that's not cutting, as you can see. Um, Even the ECB cut, but their economic situation is just all over the place. Um, that's just a mess over there. I would not want to have to be in charge of that situation. Uh, that's just one election, and all of a sudden everybody's talking about your country going into a recession and stuff. So this was the PPI, for example. As you can see, energy just tanked. It just tanked going into the summer. Just this dramatic change. OPEC basically saying, you know, we're not going to do as many cuts as we thought we were going to do, and the energy markets pretty much did what you see right here. And then that feeds through into the markets. Everybody becomes bearish all of a sudden. It's kind of ridiculous. So, one red flag that I guess that's kind of out there is as the S&P is hitting new highs. So as the S&P is hitting new highs, the Dow is sitting in a range, which is slight. S&P and Nasdaq, by the way, are hitting new highs. The Dow is sitting in a range. So what is that telling you? The Dow has more consumer focused stocks, I guess, as you can see. Get a general idea of what's actually in the Dow versus what's actually in the S&P. So S&P has heavy weightings towards tech, that type of stuff. Obviously, tech's kind of taken over. It's been doing it for a while now. Um, but you can see there's overlap between S&P and Nasdaq. But when you get back over here, this is what you kind of get. So the Dow is not really participating. So that's why stuff like JEPI isn't going up, by the way. So if you notice, like JEPI is not participating while all these other things are kind of going up. So we do have a bit of a fear trade going on right now. As rates are going down, people are starting to pile back into munis. This is one prediction I had made. So the 10-year, people were talking about a 5% on the 10-year, and now all of a sudden we're back to 4.221. Oh, there's going to be so much debt issue, blah blah blah, and all that crap. But it's based on growth. If people think we're going to not grow as much because we're starting to get all these negative reports and a lot of negative reports as energy feeds through the entire system, just different things feed into it. You know, just the long end's going to fall, and so that's really good for the S&P and that's really good for the Nasdaq. The problem is like things like the Dow Jones. That's the real economy. That's your Walmart earning. That's your McDonald's earning. That's that kind of stuff. Dow, Caterpillar, like construction type stuff. Nike, Apple, that type of stuff. Boeing, airplanes. So that's why the Dow isn't participating. Now, if we do get a slowdown, Dow's going to take it on a chin. That 40,000 that you saw in the Dow might have actually been the cycle high, to be honest with you, even if they do cut rates. So, rate cuts are. Somebody's saying there might be a surprise rate cut in July. The data for July or June would have to be horrible for them to be like. You would have to see unemployment claims go way up above 250,000. So watch the weekly claims number. If you start seeing above 250 on that, July comes back into the picture. That's when people actually do start worrying about a recession. And then also, the S&P would actually take off because of lower rates. People would start pricing out rate cuts in a big way. Right now, there's maybe like one or two rate cuts priced out, but that's for September and maybe November. So we're there. We're almost there. It's either going to be July or it's going to be September or sometime before 20. Like the clock is ticking on rate cuts right now. How fast they come depends on how the economic data goes. They're trying for a soft landing. I don't think they're going to. I mean, they're kind of hitting it, but like I said, the payrolls numbers are all over the place. Um, Also, as you can see, I added one share of VU. I'm not putting a target on VU. Um, I'm not going to put a target on VU, to be honest with you. It's just going to be something that builds in the background. It's going to be just this, what you see right here. So right now I just own one share of it. I just threw that in there. Current cash balance is this. The only reason this hasn't grown is because that's grown. So I opened a new HYSA for myself. So that's my spouse's. This is mine. Just to have money on hand, hurricane season, all that kind of stuff. I want cash on hand, even though technically I can pull from that and I can use that as a checking account, which is really nice. That's the entire point of this dividends going towards my car note type deal. But so this new number that's going to go on this video right here, this is pure capital gains. Since my last video, I don't think I've transferred a dime over to Fidelity. I've been building up a cash account. If anything, I actually pulled $300 out of Fidelity just to hit this cash balance. And then going forward, all the gig earnings are going to go. So like pretty much from like all of this right here, pretty much all of this, all of that is going into this cash account to build that up. And because I'm going for, just to have probably about 1,000, maybe 2,000 on hand. But that's what I want to do. And then all of this right here is just capital gains. This number really could say 82,000 with capital gains plus me contributing money to it. But if you notice down here, that's the dramatic difference in the number. So if I go back to this screenshot, maybe from the 8th, it might show something different. So you can see how that, you can kind of see. I had opened it on the 8th, and I had already put 352 in there. But as you can see, 82 versus 84. So we're just building up just a cash account. The cash account's just got a 4.25. It's just something that's local. It's just a local capital, it's just a high yield savings account. That's all it is. Um, and then starting next week, so before my video I do on the 1st for July 1st, this cash balance right there should be above 10,000. Depends on how much I make in 2 weeks. So, and how much I'm able to set back. So I'm hoping to maybe get this closer to 10,000 by the time I do another video. I'm thinking about starting in on Jeppy, maybe. But as it stands, I'm 18,000. I also added this, by the way. So this is just capital gains, gains, losses type thing. I see people on other dividend channels have that, so I thought that'd be a kind of cool thing to have. Just that, just a fun thing. For example, by the way, if BBing goes up to say like 19, you can kind of see what that does. Obviously, it does different things like that. Um, if any of my things are gonna go up at that dramatic amount, because BBN used to trade at 22 back when rates were zero. So if this went up to 22, for example, just you can kind of see it doesn't even fit on the screen. I would have to do that to my capital gains to make it work. so, so that's just something that just kind of to keep out there is like I have a feeling that a majority of my capital gains and majority of my capital appreciation is going to be right in that area, which is why I kept those positions my largest. I'm still iffy on O. I might start building a position back into that, maybe, but I'm still thinking Jeppy, maybe. Or I might put it into VU. I don't know. I haven't quite figured this out yet. But goal's still to hit 100,000. I just have to figure out where I'm going to put the 100,000. I'm thinking $10,000 in cash instead of 20,000. I don't know. I got to figure this out. But so that's kind of where we're at right now. Definitely on target for the year right now. Doing pretty good. Last year I was at 34,000 in gig work, so you can do the math there. It's another 18 grand I could add to this number down here, which is already massive. Um, so I think that's kind of where we're at right now. What do I expect? I don't know. To be honest with you, there's still a lot of data that just needs to catch up. That's all that's going on right now. Like I said, like if you look at the OER numbers, like pretty obvious. Like OER stabilized up here, or like OER is up here, but this is down here. Doesn't make any sense. So something's gonna catch up. It's like there's got to be a drop somewhere around here. Um, like PPI, for example, CPI. Just that's what you watch. PPI, CPI, and the jobs report. That's the only thing you need to watch. Everything else in between is just whatever. Um, unless it's some major political news, but right now it's just like there's just not much going on in the market to drive it one way or another. The volume is just incredibly low. I mean, if you look at this, VIX is below 13. Like there's just the volume is just incredibly low. So it's like people are just kind of waiting around, and maybe a lot of that money on the sidelines comes back in when they actually do start cutting. But I don't think that money will come back in unless, for example, like I said with the BBN thing, like they're gonna sit, people are gonna sit in a 5.25% yielding cash account for as long as they can, just because it's a risk free, right? But people like Tom Lee are saying, we're going up to 5,500. It's very possible. So we have to kind of see where the market goes, but we are kind of due for a pullback in July. I have a feeling that's what's going to kind of happen here. So we'll see how it goes. But like I said, it's when I start adding back in, I think I want to hit the 10,000 here first, and then I definitely want to maybe look at Jeppy. I think that's kind of my next target, is to start throwing some money into there, and maybe put Jeppy. That Jeppy will probably be the one that takes me all the way to 100,000. But we'll see from there. I'll let you know, obviously, and then I'll see you on July 1st. Thanks so much. Bye.